Welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast, the podcast for those that are curious about what's possible inside their four walls. Before we get into this episode, let's hear a word from our sponsors that make this all possible. If you're thinking about voice picking, think EPG, the team behind Lydia Voice, the industry's #1 voice picking solution. Warehouses rely on diverse teams, but language barriers can slow everything down. Lydia Live Translation empowers warehouse staff to communicate naturally in over 40 languages in real time. No template training, no dialect detection headaches. See Lydia Live Translation in action at Modex this April in booth B11122. That's booth B11122, or visit epg.com to learn more. Are you drowning in pre-sales engineering? Struggling with resource allocation? Losing opportunities because it takes too long to respond? Quoting shouldn't take weeks. Every delay slows momentum and puts revenue at risk. Today's automation buyers expect instant answers, clear options, and numbers they trust. iAutomate helps system integrators and solution providers create a customer-centric digital buying journey and deliver data-driven concepts and budgets, instantly accelerating pipeline velocity, increasing win rates, and turning speed into revenue. That's sales automation. Learn more at iautomate.app. That's iautomate.app. Running a 3PL with LPG or diesel forklifts? Fuel volatility, emissions, noise, and downtime add up fast. Big Joe Forklifts offers a smarter path with lithium-ion trucks featuring integrated batteries and onboard charging. No fuel handling, no tank swaps, fewer interruptions. Their Pulse telematics platform gives leaders real-time diagnostics, energy insights, and downtime prevention. You can see it all at Modex in booth 9313. That's booth 9313. And a special bonus, if you say Kevin Lawton sent me, you'll get an exclusive swag package. Check them out, booth 9313. That's Big Joe Forklifts. There's no guessing when it comes to operations. We need the truth. Sergere provides that truth when it comes to your most critical systems and operations. Trusted to bring the truth with 99.9% data accuracy to some of the world's largest companies like Honda, Toyota, DHL, Whirlpool, Cat, Eli Lilly, and more. When you need truth in your warehouse operations, bring in Sergere. Get the truth at sergere.com. That's SURGERE.com. Thank you to our sponsors, and now let's get to the podcast.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast here at Manifest 2026. And it is day 2, the last day of Manifest. And we're getting some takeaways from people here. And I have Michelle Harris of Our Serviceworks joining me here. They have a 3PL in Dallas. She's going to tell us a little bit about that. She's also a founding member of our new community, the Warehouse Innovators community. So very thankful to have her be a part of that. So Michelle, how's everything going?
It's going great, Kevin. It's been a great show, and we're really happy to be here. This is our third year in a row, and every year we walk away with a wealth of information and many, many new contacts. So it's going well.
Yeah, fantastic to hear that. And we've been hanging out a little bit too, which has been fantastic as well. So happy to get you in here and on the podcast. So first, tell us a little bit about Our Serviceworks and how it kind of started and what you all do.
Of course. So Our Serviceworks provides outsourced customer care and fulfillment services. We started in customer care in 1988.
Okay.
And jokingly, I always say probably before most in this industry were even born. But we provided outsourced customer care to our clients. So we supported many brands. One of our key brands in 1989 was a little oil company called Mobil Oil.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yes.
Okay.
And they came to us and asked us if we could source a toll-free number. And we went out and acquired 1-800-ASK-MOBILE.
Okay.
It's still on all the mobile products today.
Yeah.
And we still support the mobile brand with our technicians.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's one of our longest tenured clients.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, one of our customers, a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's a motivational speaker. He is a brand client and asked us to take over his fulfillment center.
Interesting.
And we did.
Yeah.
And that's where all the fun has begun. So today, our facility is just under 100,000 square feet.
Okay.
We are fully climate controlled, and we really focus on the finer points of fulfillment. So customized packaging, sustainability, brands that might be an indie brand, someone that's just getting started, and looking for some runway.
Okay.
A fulfillment center that can start with them when they're small, but also be there for them when they're doing 50, 60,000 orders a month.
Interesting. Okay. And I like the evolution there, and I think it's very interesting, right? And I'm sure you know a lot of other 3PL owners, right? And it's always interesting to hear a lot of times, right? I find that like we didn't start out to start a 3PL, right? But somehow through other business we were doing, it just the opportunity came up, and now we have a 3PL, right? So very interesting, and located in Dallas, right?
We are.
So great to get you on here, and I'm very curious, as you have been walking through Manifest and having conversations and looking at some of the new technology and things out there, what has stood out to you?
Well, a few things is the carrier choices are just so vast, so different than they were even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The different regionals who are now banding together, some of the smaller regionals who are becoming, 70-80% of the marketplace, people like OnTrack. So that's been really interesting, and that's been a lot of fun for us. We've been able to bring our brands a different experience and many times a better experience for their doorstep or mailbox delivery.
Yeah, interesting. I'm curious there because, there's a lot of conversation around like carrier diversification and having these different options to, like you said, ultimately just deliver a better experience for your customer and your customer's customer, essentially, right? So how are you approaching that in terms of making sure that you're having enough providers to be able to provide all different types of service levels and accommodate what your customers are looking for?
That's a great question. So for our team, adding a new carrier is something that we just don't do overnight, and we don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
We take a deep dive into their stats, not only what their stats say, but what their customers are saying. So we do a lot of a deep dive research. We talk to some of our competitors in the industry and someone who might be using that new carrier. Then we start talking about them operationally. So it's not always just that I can deliver a package in 3 to 4 to 5 days, but it's also what do your pickup times look like? What are your requirements? Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there at 6 o'clock at night when we have 10 Gaylords waiting for pickup?
Sure, yeah.
Are you willing to drop a trailer? So there's a lot that goes into the background. And then what is your technology? Does it merge with our technology?
Right.
Is it a good fit? Are the links that we're creating, are they actually writing back to Shopify? A lot of carriers say we do, but they don't do a direct write back to Shopify. So we feel it's really important to make sure we understand the carrier operationally all the way back to how it's going to coordinate with the brand and the Shopify cart and then back to the end user. And then on the back end, what does their customer support look like?
Right. Yeah.
Do they have a claims process? How easy is it to file a claim? And how easy is it to track a package?
Yeah.
So a lot goes into bringing on a new carrier before we actually roll it out to all of our customers.
Yes, yes. And obviously customer support and care is your specialty, right?
Yes.
So you know how to suss that out, I'm
Correct.
sure, pretty well. But yeah, very interesting there. And I love that you talked about the technology connection too, right? And making sure that, okay, is it going to work with what we have existing? And is it going to actually give the consumer, right, the person that's actually going to get the package, the information that they need, right, without any kind of extra steps? So when we look at that diversification, I'm curious, like, when do you say it's too many carriers, right? Because you have different options because you want to, mitigate risk or different service areas and things like that.
Sure.
But when do you get to a point when you're like, all right, well, this is too many options. Yeah.
Right. No, that's because in essence, at the end of the day, most of our brands come to us and look at us to be the experts. And we are. We know the carriers. We understand them. We understand what they're promising. And you don't need 10 carriers on your line. Yeah. But you need the right 10 carriers. Right. Based upon your brands. So at OSW, we focus on direct to consumer. About 85% of all of our shipments going out are anywhere from a few ounces up to 5 or 10 pounds. Yeah. So it's really important that we have the right carriers to carry those weights of products, as well as a product that's not boxed. Yeah. So there's a consideration for a lot of our brands are small beauty brands, and they're shipping in a custom bubble envelope. So it's not something that's going on a pallet, but it's going into a Gaylord. Yeah. So it comes back to that operational side. So for OSW, we'll test a carrier. Okay. We'll beta test them with a couple brands. We have a couple of awesome brands that raise their hand every time. They're willing to be guinea pigs? Yeah. Yes, okay. They want to test a new carrier. Yeah. They want to see what it's all about. Yeah. And then they help us. So they help us decide, is this one that's going to earn a spot on our line?
All right. Interesting. So, yeah, and definitely seeing some of the carriers out here. We did a podcast yesterday with Jitsu and talked to them a little bit as well. Yes. But very interesting to see everything here. Now, tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned to me this morning, right? You had some interesting conversations last night with some other 3PL owners about just culture in general within the 3PL and how to build that. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's something that's not, I don't think is represented at Manifest. So it ended up coming out at the after hours happy hours. So we had a lot of conversation about people and how do you build the right culture for a 3PL. At the end of the day, you have to have processes in place and you have to have a management team, but it's the people on the floor who are actually executing and delivering that experience. Yeah. So it makes a big difference. Right. And at OSW, we have something that's called the OSW Way. Okay. And tell us that. It's our way of doing there's just the simple things like packing a box, how much tape is put onto a box, where the label goes on the box and how straight the label is, how much filler goes into a box, and then are all the products facing upward when the consumer receives their package. So all those are folded into the OSW Way. But the conversation last night was a lot about having your team buy in to those ways and understanding those ways and want to execute those ways. And at Our Serviceworks, we really feel that it has to be a win for our brand and it has to be a win for our team. Right. And we feel if we keep that top of mind, we're going to have the best product and the best support for, at the end of the day, for our brand, and our customers and our employees are happy. So simple things like how often we do a fun event at OSW. Okay. The recognition. Sure. I don't work on the floor, and trust me, they don't want me working on the floor. Okay. But I spend a lot of time on the floor talking to our team, asking them how their family is, getting to know them so that they really feel like they are a part of our organization. Yeah. last year we hosted our 4th annual Easter egg hunt. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
coming
That's
up
fun.
again.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see how many grown adults have never been on an Easter egg hunt before.
Yeah, yeah.
And our leadership team hides eggs, and it's
Yeah.
fun to see everybody
You
with
had
a
them
bucket.
in the warehouse?
In the warehouse.
Oh,
and,
that's cool. I
and
like
out
that.
in front of the warehouse. They
Yeah.
just have a fun time with
Yeah.
it. So we do a lot of fun things with our team. We make them part of our family. We also believe in education.
Yeah.
So simple things like teaching people how to be a team member.
Right.
We do book studies that we invite all of our team members to be a
Oh,
part of
I
a
like
book
that.
study.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how, if you look at our tenure, we average on our floor, our tenure is nearing 2 years for a pick and packer or a shipper.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty unheard of
Yeah,
in
yeah,
our
that
industry.
is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that type of position. Very interesting, and I mean, I love because it takes me back to my days managing operations and things, and that was always very critical for me to try and like have those touch points, right? Those kind of personal touch points where it's like, okay, well, you're not just head count out there on the floor for me, right? Like you're somebody that I'm going to see every day, hopefully for a long time, right? And being able to establish that connection, I think, helps to build that culture, definitely. So I'm curious, when you started to do that, right? Because over time, obviously, you've evolved the business, right? When you started to put in, what is it called, the Our Serviceworks?
It's the OSWA.
The OSWA, right?
Yes.
So the OSWA, right? When you first created that, how did you start to just go about executing on that and starting to just instill that in the people?
Sure. So it becomes second nature first for the leadership team and the managers. So we started at the top and started emphasizing that how do we want it done? What's the right way to perform a specific task or create a process? And one of our leaders, actually one of our vice presidents, she is the one who nicknamed the OSWA.
Okay.
And when she would walk up to a team member, she would say, is that the OSW? Is that the way we're supposed to be doing it?
Yeah.
And then it became, is that the OSWA?
Okay.
So it really morphed out of something that we were doing, but we felt that we needed to highlight it. We needed to make it something, and we needed to make it ours. So a lot of our processes are just nicknamed the OSWA.
Yeah.
And the team understands that.
Yeah. And I think that's fantastic. And I think, even though, sometimes like you come up with these taglines, right? And they come out of things, and, sometimes people are like, oh, well, we don't want to repeat it all the time because maybe it feels a little cheesy or something like that, right? But that repetitiveness and, instilling that and hearing it over and over makes a huge difference, because now people, they start to ask that question in their head, I'm sure, right? They're like, oh, am I doing this to OSWA? Like when I do it. And that's so important to have kind of that almost brand, right, of culture within the operation. So tell us, people tenured for 10 years as pickers, packers, shippers, right? I mean, that's pretty incredible. You should be proud of that, definitely. But tell us, like, what's the secret there?
Sure. So that's actually a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it is our secret sauce.
Yeah.
We hire, I feel, differently than most companies, and not just 3PLs, but across the board. When we looked at our tasks, what we do for our brands, we look at them and we think they are all teachable. There's very few things that you really have to have experience outside of our company to perform that function. So we looked at hiring and we said, we are no longer going to hire based upon a skill set. We're going to hire based upon a characteristic.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the right culture, then you can have all the perfect processes in place, but you're going to have people who become culture killers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we established about 20 years ago, it's an acronym, and it's called WETCO.
WETCO.
So again, if you walked into our facility, you would look around our facility, and you should see a team of about 60 people who are very WETCO. And each one of them knows what that means.
Yeah.
But they were hired for the W, which stands for warmth.
Warmth, okay.
E stands for empathy.
Okay.
So when you're packing a box, we believe you have to be empathetic about maybe
To the receiver.
a box that is dented or maybe a product that has a scratch across the label. Be empathetic for the person who's going to receive that.
Yeah.
Would you want to receive that product
No,
that's
no.
damaged?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. And then the team is for teamwork. So
Okay.
we rely on our teams stepping in and helping each other. The C is for conscientiousness. So you have to be conscientious of what you're doing at all times.
Yeah.
And then the O is optimism, because in our industry, you may walk in one morning expecting 20,000 orders to be in
Yeah.
your queue,
Yeah.
and you walk in and there's 30,000.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be
the
optimistic.
plan you come up on the drive to the warehouse, right, is never really the plan that
That's
ends up being
that's
your day,
exactly right.
Yes.
So you have to be optimistic that we will get the job done.
Yeah.
So that's how we hire.
Okay.
And we truly believe if we hire based on those WhatCo principles,
Yeah.
that our team will be a different team. And they are. They absolutely are a different team. When we have brands walk through our facility, I will say 90% of the time they say, wow, everyone is smiling.
Yeah.
Everyone is happy. Everyone is greeting me. And it's because of our culture.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I love that, and I love that you've been so thoughtful like about that, and doing kind of that evaluation and coming up with the acronym and everything. And I think that's really interesting. So maybe another important question here. I mean, when you go and you interview a potential new hire, what's like the secret question that gets you to whether this person is WETCO or not?
Sure. So there are actually a series of questions, and we
Right.
do a panel interview. So each of us takes
okay.
a different approach to each one of
Yeah.
those letters in WETCO, and there's scenarios. So it's what would you do if?
Oh, okay.
And there is a definite answer.
Yeah.
So what would you do if you were packing a box and the picker had picked an item that had a big dent in the box?
Yeah.
What would you do with it? And if the answer is not, raise my hand, call my supervisor, put it aside,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you can't teach that.
Yeah.
You can't teach that.
Yeah.
That is something that you have to have empathy to understand that's the wrong product. So our questions are based upon those same characteristics. And if we get the good responses and positive responses to those, then we go on to the next level. Now, they have to be able to, there are some physical characteristics.
Sure,
They have
yeah.
to be able to stand,
Yeah.
walk a certain distance every day.
You got to lift up boxes.
Lift
Yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are some physical characteristics. But however, it is first focused on the WETCO principles.
Yeah.
And then we move on.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's fantastic. And, I love that approach to it, and, really interesting how you're kind of approaching that culture. And I love that, in this conference was all about, technology and things, and so much discussion around AI and robotics, right? That,
Yes.
one of the leading conversations you had was actually around the human element, right?
Yes.
And what are we doing there? So I think that's very, very important. So I'm curious, as you look at some of these technologies, how are you kind of looking at them and evaluating them to make sure that if you bring those into your operation, you are also still like maintaining that human element and that core culture that you've created?
Sure. So the elements of AI that we've implemented thus far, we started with them in customer care.
Sure.
And it really is to take the tasks that are simple tasks and automate them. And we envision it almost as the day when we went from handwriting something to being able to put it into a computer. It's
Yeah.
just taking the same methods that we've created, and we're doing them in an expedited fashion. So we're taking those simple tasks and pushing them off to AI, which then leaves the more difficult tasks, the tasks that might need more input, more decision for the actual human being and that
Yeah.
person, and then beginning to teach them and elevate their level, elevate their position a bit. So today, we tested a box builder.
Okay.
So this is, I think, a great example.
Yeah,
We tested
sure.
a box builder, and the box builder, we found actually the human being could create the boxes faster than the box builder
Oh,
was
interesting.
creating
Yeah.
the boxes. And at the end of the day, we stood back and we had a conversation with the person operating the machine,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, it is there's a way. There's a way that you move
Yeah.
to create this box, and you can't have the same. It takes more movements with the box machine. So it sometimes AI is great. Sometimes machines are great. Sometimes robots are fabulous.
Sure.
But it still takes that level, that human being, and that ability to elevate that human being to make those decisions, to make the right decision to operate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. I think that, there's still the, that next level of kind of thinking and decision making that the human can do that robots and AI aren't quite there yet to be able to do that. So very great to have you come sit down with us and talk here at Manifest. And we're happy to have you on the podcast, and really great takeaways on the cultural front and how to build that within the operation overall. And I think that's fantastic the way you've established that and created that. So if people want to connect with you or learn more about OSW, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. You can reach out to me through email at mharris@ourserviceworks.com. Also, our sales team will respond to info@oursalesworks.com. And visit our website. We have a great website. There are a few videos, and it'll tell you a little bit about who we are, how we do it, and why we do it.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic.
So I want to say thank you. Thank you to you, Kevin, for literally for all you do for this community, for the industry, and just making us all better.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I love talking to people like you and learning from you. So appreciate you coming by, definitely. And we'll put all the information about OSW and Michelle at thenewwarehouse.com as well as in the show notes here. So make sure you check that out. And Michelle, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.